Okay, what we're going to look at today is multiplying polynomials. We're going to first start off with one term times multiple terms, and then we're going to add factoring greatest common factors to that. So that's what we're going to be looking at today in our lesson. Okay, that's what we're going to be dealing with. Okay, so first off, let's look at multiplying monomials. I'm taking this lesson, I'm not teaching exactly how to do monomials. I'm assuming people have done that before, and we're going to go into just more of the distributive property of this. Now, when you're looking at it, you're going to have a parenthesis, and what it means is I'm going to take whatever this term is and multiply it by every term inside of this parenthesis. So I'm going to multiply the 3x squared times the 4x squared. So that's 3x squared times 4x squared. And then I'm keeping my sign, and then this times this, so that's going to be minus 3 times 3x squared times 5x, and then I'm going to take the sign, bring it down, that just comes straight down, and then I'm going to take this monomial and multiply it by the final one, 3x squared times 7. Now, if you look at this, this is going to be 3 times 4 times, and I have 2 x's here, and I have 2 x's here, minus, this is going to be 3 times 5, I have 2 x's, and I have 1 x there, so those are all being multiplied, plus 3 times 7, and I have the 2 x's, so 3 times 4, 12, and I have 4 x's, minus 3 times 5 is 15, and I have 3 x's, plus, and 3 times 7 is 21, and I have 2 x's, so x squared. If you're noticing, 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus this one's exponent, which is 1, is 3. 2, and this one doesn't have any, so we just leave it right here. I am just adding exponents. But why am I adding exponents? Because if you lined them all out and counted them, that's how it would result. So let's look here. I'm going to multiply this times this, so it's a negative 6, and I'm going to bring my times 4 times, I have 1x, a y, and then 2 x's there, minus 6 times, that's a negative 6 times 5, 1x, a y, an x, and a y, an xy from this one, and an xy here, minus negative 6 times 2, negative 6 times 2, I have an x, a y, and here I have 2 y's. So I have negative 6 times 4 is a negative 24. I have 1, 2, 3 x's, so x to the third, and I have 1 y. This is going to be minus 6 times 5 is a negative 30. 1, 2, x squared, 1, 2, y squared, minus, and then negative 6 times 2 is a negative 12. You have 1x, 1, 2, and 3 y's. Minus a negative, I'm going to clean this up slightly, 24x to the third y plus 30x squared y squared plus 12x y to the third. So I'm going to clean it up, and that would be my final answer. Again, this one has an exponent of 1, this one has an exponent of 1. So 1 plus 2 for my x's, that's where I get the x to the third. And then there's just the y, because there's nothing to add to it. This has an exponent of 1 and 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, so that's x squared. 1 plus 1 is 2, so that's why it's a y squared. And then I have no x to add here, so you just write it down. But 1 plus 2 is 3, and that's another reason why there's a y to the third. So some teachers and parents might say you add those exponents, and they are correct. But I have them list them out. That is also correct. More than one way to do this, and that's a different way of just seeing the problem. Now, let's go backwards. If I have this number here, I can look at it and go, well, that's got x's in it, that's got x's in it, that's got x's in it. So I can look backwards and actually do what's called a factor out our greatest common factor. I'm undoing that multiply that I just did. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down to what we call primes. So if I've got primes here, I know 12 is the same thing as 3 times 4. So that's 3 times, but 4 is 2 times 2. So 3 times 2 times 2, and I have 5 x's. 2, 3, 4, and 5 x's. Minus. Now 18 is 9 times 2. Well, 9 is 3 times 3 times 2. And I have 3 x's. 1, 2, 3. Minus. And then in this case, I have 3 times 1, because that's what 3 is, and I have 2 x's. So to factor a greatest common factor, first off, I'm going to circle everything that they have in common. Well, they all have a 3 in common. So I'm going to circle a 3. They all have at least 2 x's. So I'm going to circle 2 x's. And that now would be my greatest common factor. So I'm going to bring that out. I'm going to say 3 and 2 x's. That's my greatest common factor. That's what I'm going to bring out. And I'm going to put a parenthesis. So once I've brought out my 3 and my 2 x's, I'm going to scribble them out. And what I write here is what's left. So what's left? A 2 times 2 times and 1, 2, 3 minus. This would be a 3 times 2 with 1x minus. And that's out, that's out. The only thing left is that 1. So now let's write this nice. So it would be 3x squared. 2 times 2 is 4. X to the third minus 3 times 2 is 6x minus 1. And now I factored out my greatest common factor. Let's do this one more time. So if you're looking right here, I want a greatest common factor. So 15 is 5 times 3. So I'm going to write 5 times 3. I've got 3 x's and I have 2 y's. Minus. This is 5 times 4. And 4 is 2 times 2 with 2 x's and 3 y's. Plus, and this is going to be 2 times 6. And 6 is 2 times 3. So I have 2 times 2 times 3, 4 x's and 1 y. So now let's circle everything that they have in common. This one has a 5 and a 3. This one has a 5, a 2, and a 2. And this one has a 2, a 2, and a 3. So there's no numbers that they have in common. That's okay. This one has 3 x's. This one has 2 x's. And this one has 4 x's. So they all have at least 2 x's. So I'm going to circle 2 x's and write that out here. They also have, this one has 1 y, this one has at least 1 y, and this one has at least 1 y. So I'm going to circle it and put it out here. So once I circle all of those, I'm going to bring them out. I'm going to scribble them out, scribble, 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 scribble. And now I'm going to write what's left. So I have 5 times 3 times x times y. I minus 5 times 2 times 2 times 1y, or 2 y's, y, plus, and then 2 times 2 times 3 times x. So now I have x squared y, 5 times 3 again is 15, xy, minus 20, y squared, plus 12, x squared. And that would be now factored out. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you made sense to you. You'll have a wonderful day.